we're here with John McCann, who's the owner of John McCann and Associates.
Thanks for coming on the show, John.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we use our computers every day, and we thought it would be really neat to have John on the show to talk about how do you know if your computer's protected and what are some of the important things that you need to do to make sure that your computer is optimized and you're getting the best, most efficient work out of your computer.
So maybe starting with protection. How do you know that your computer's going to be safe?
Great question. Great question. Well, I would say there are three things. Number one, for antivirus protection, you want to make sure that you have an industry-leading tool. So McAfee, I think we learned together, they've upped it from 19 to 21. So you have to start with a good tool.
Okay.
And then you have to make sure that it's active and you have to make sure it's running. So one example would be McAfee.
And how often does it need to get updated? Is that something that happens automatically with most of these programs, or is it something that people have to keep on top of to make sure that it's still protecting them against whatever the latest viruses and such are out there?
Good question. Sometimes if it's not being updated automatically, that will be a source of infection or allow infection to come in. But as far as a subscription goes, it's an annual subscription. You can get a 2-year subscription. I'd recommend just an annual subscription.
Well, it seems though there's new viruses every day.
There are.
So it's almost like you have to be updating your computer, your virus protection with the upgrades almost on a daily basis.
Or allow it to do it for you.
It runs in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I get a little thing that pops up and says your virus protection is just run and, you know, give no viruses or whatever.
Right, well, I guess that's the other key point too, is making sure that it's scanning. So you can have the updates, but if it's not scanning your computer for the viruses, I guess it's not doing anything.
Now, what's the difference between like an antivirus program and a firewall?
Good question. You touch on it's important. I always advise that everybody has at least three things: antivirus, anti-spyware, and firewall.
Okay.
So what are the distinctions between those? Most people know what antivirus is and therefore antivirus protection. Anti-spyware protects you from identity theft types of situations, credit card theft if you're browsing on the internet or you're typing your social security. Now, firewall is a way to be invisible on the internet. It kind of shields you from being visible, so people can't find you, hackers can't find you. That's the short answer.
Okay. So once your computer's protected, then you want to make sure it's running well. So what do people need to do to make sure their computer's optimized?
Yeah, you know, as we learned together.
We thought we had pretty much optimized computers, but I thought what was most interesting is you don't realize all the things getting added onto your computer, especially if you have children like we do.
Right, games.
Loading down games.
And this stuff that comes loaded on, that just comes on your computer, like I have an HP computer, and there was a bunch of games and stuff that you deleted off, and it definitely sped up the performance of my PC after.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was
Lori.
going to say, what do you think are the biggest violations in that area, besides the games, obviously?
Well, what you ran into, our scenario with you, was very normal, so don't feel like you're different in any way. Over time, programs tend to collect in the startup areas of Windows and Macs too. And by the way, we support Mac or Windows. Functionally, they're the same. Software or hardware we support. But as it relates to Windows and performance and optimization, when you install software, they tend to the install program tends to load things in the background, and so over time, it's a good idea every 6 months to take a look at what you're using. Sometimes you may have installed something you forgot you installed it. So there's about 4 areas that you need to look in. Some are not technical, some are technical. If you go in the control panel, you can see all the programs, and we did that together for both of your computers. So
what I thought was really interesting, maybe you can tell people how to see what actually was happening, is I did have a weather program running on my computer.
WeatherBug, yeah.
WeatherBug. And I thought it was just a convenient thing to have on my computer, but what you showed me is how much memory it was actually taking on a regular basis that was slowing down my computer. And there was a way where you actually pulled it up and showed all the different programs running. Without anything really else going on my computer.
Right. Yeah, we looked at the task manager and looked at the memory allocation, and then we sorted it by highest to lowest. So we could see WeatherBug was number 4.
Right, which is really not something I needed to have on there, but it was a great little quick fix that really sped up my computer.
Yeah, and again, that's a common thing that people are interested in the weather. You can just go to weather.com and get the weather.
Right.
You don't need to have that tool running
Have that
in the
running
background
in the background or starting up every time you're trying to boot up your computer.
That's right.
Or around here, just look outside, right? Because it changes every hour, right?
Now, what about backing up your computer and making sure that you don't lose things in case something goes wrong? I know there's ways to back up, but then there's also power issues that you had talked about. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, Jen, that touches on what I would call best practices. You know, every industry has best practices, and there's some timeless best practices in IT. I've been in IT for 25 years. Nothing's changed in this regard. You need to have some type of surge and battery protection. Ideally with the battery protection. So that's certainly one thing. What was your question?
And then about backing up your files.
Backing up. I love talking about backups because I see so much anxiety and stress surrounding people not knowing if they're protected or not. And so you want to choose a backup solution that has three things. It has to be automatic, has to be daily, and has to be off-site. So those are the three things that you want to keep in mind.
By off-site, you mean it's backing up to some service that has a server somewhere that's keeping a copy of your files.
Correct. In other words, the old conventional floppy drives, or now we have flash drives. If you're using a flash drive, if it's not automatic, and it's not daily, and it's stored right in your office, so that doesn't achieve those three goals. Well, they're handy and they're nice to have, but I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket because that's a fragile basket.
Well, and a lot of people put pictures. I mean, I know everybody now loads up the digital pictures, and if you don't have a backup and your computer crashes, I mean, that is a
that actually happened to us. We had a problem with our AC went out, and it got so hot in the room where the computer was that it fried the hard drive, and we lost tons of pictures.
Well, a lot of times it comes with
now we have backup.
Now you do, but you can't get the pictures back. But it comes with a lot of the package programs with the antivirus and backup program, which I thought was really convenient. And then you mentioned best IT practices. Are there any other ones that you would recommend, or your top 3 or top 4 besides backing up and?
Yeah, I would certainly say backups, antivirus protection, surge and battery protection. Those are the 3 that are timeless, really. Now, security is a whole other subject. I mean, there are some best practices there. Of course, you want to use passwords wherever you can. You want to make sure your wireless is secure. Your modem router has administrative passwords. You want to make sure you change the password to something other than password.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or whatever people use.
And
I was just going to say, now all these different practices, if someone wanted to do basically a computer checkup, how long does that take? What's involved? Is this a complicated thing, or is it a quick fix? Or?
No, I would say there's about 6 things, I would say, in general. And I would say it takes 15 minutes. We'd be glad to do a free evaluation for anybody on that. We can verbally walk through that, and you can know if you don't have a password on QuickBooks or some confidential personnel records. You can do password protection on a Word file or an Excel spreadsheet, or things that you really got to lock down. Those would be some examples
of security.
Security, Also physical security. In a small company that has a server closet, you want to make sure that that's locked. So there's some physical facility security. There's some data security, password security. You want to give as many barriers or deterrents to folks. Sometimes it's internal that you want to protect, and sometimes it's an external, source that you're trying to protect from.
Okay, well, if people have either need some troubleshooting or want to get their computer looked at to be optimized, you've got a coupon on our site for $45, free $45 worth of service with an hour or more appointment, and that can be either on-site, or you can also kind of dial in and do remote repair for people's PCs as well.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I definitely recommend it, because we definitely thought we were pretty optimized and running efficiently, and it was amazing how much we found that we could improve on.
It definitely sped up, especially my booting. When my computer boots up, it goes much more quickly now than it did before.
Great.
So thank you.
That warms my heart.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, John.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for having me, Bo.